Welcome to Counter Surveil. On tonight's episode, we explore the world off mesh, tastic and off-grid communications. So literally, tune in.
That was the worst intro video yet, Steve.
That was...
Dreams and data streams. Listen close, it's closer than it seems. Fix the flaws, see through the smog. Counter serve will join the blog.
Steve, it didn't even fix your spelling error. It was like the world off.
Whatever. We have an issue, though, we need to figure out real quick. Why is... Oh, there. That may have
Got
solved the
Adam.
problem.
Add him to the stage.
There was that echo going on, and I think it was because of that stupid new layout thing. Oh, well, anyways, welcome to the Counter Surveil podcast. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Meshtastic and the Georgia Mesh Coalition. And as always, I'm Sledge, and with us, the other host of this podcast is Havoc. And tonight, we have some of the members of the Georgia Mesh Coalition, Mike, Ken, and whoever else is on. Is it just you guys, or did I miss somebody?
It's just us.
Well,
The invisible third person who's off screen.
well, let's go around the circle on our square, starting at my bottom, which would be, if I could maximize my damn screen.
That'd be Ken.
Well, not on my screen, but Ken, you go first. Introduce yourself. What do you do for work, and how did you get into all this Meshtastic bullshit?
So, hi, I'm Ken. I've been messing with Meshtastic for about, 3-4 months now. Work in emergency management, local agency. Also do a lot of ham radio on the emergency radio, amateur radio emergency services over 2 counties. Other than that, mostly radio's just been a hobby that's turned into a job that's now branching out to more hobbies.
Hey, I got the same story. I just got more years on you. But cool. Hey, Mike, how about yourself?
So, well, thanks for having me. Appreciate you reaching out to us to join in this evening. So I kind of have almost a very identical story to Ken. I also work in local emergency management, local government. Funny story, Ken and I actually work for the same agency. So not only do we spend 40 hours a week together, we also do all this fun crap together on the side. So originally we started a small Meshtastic group in our region. We called ourselves Coastal Mesh, as we are part of the coastal region of Georgia. And we kind of got to talking, and it was like, hey, maybe we need to look at something in a statewide level. We talked to some other people, and that's kind of where it went. So I do a lot in public safety radio. I also do amateur radio as well. I'm in district leadership for Aries. I'm over 14 counties in the state of Georgia.
Right on. So, actually, let me ask, what level of ham licenses do you guys have?
So
I'm a
both of
lowly
us-
tech myself.
So both of us are actually extras.
No
It's-
shit. Okay.
It's kind of terrifying how similar Ken and I are, minus the age gap. As you can see, Ken does not have as much gray in his beard.
You're
He'll
working
get
on
there soon enough.
You're working on changing that.
Oh, 100%. It's my job to aggravate the shit out of you.
One of these days I'll get around to getting my extra. Just comes out of time. But for now, I just, do what I can. But anyways, let's talk about the coalition. You briefly mentioned it, and what are the future plans? Because at the moment, my understanding is we don't have channels or anything set up. What are our goals and future, like, what's the future look like for that?
So as of right now, yeah, we don't have a specific channel plan set out. We are still in discussion and in the discovery phase with that, trying to come up with something that will fit our statewide needs. So instead of having, a bunch of channels that people really don't care about, we're going to try to work something out that's very regionalized. So that way, people on the coastal side aren't spamming the folks that are out by the mountains or up in Northwest or, down by the panhandle of Florida. It's going to be really regionalized with some interop in between the entirety of the state. So having a channel where everyone can communicate, with encryption, obviously, that is kind of the whole thought process behind Meshtastic, is having that resilient off-grid and encryptable communications. Having something where we can interop across the state when we need, help from other people is kind of the whole point behind a statewide mesh network, if you will.
And then getting into the technical nitty gritties, like, is there a way to use like a router or something to basically take medium long and long fast and make them communicate together? Because in certain areas, long fast only works, and then other areas, medium fast works the best. Is there a way to combine those two?
So we're actually investigating that right now with one of the other members. Currently, with part of the UDP broadcast packets and an MQTT server, even if it's just hosted locally, you can take those long fast packets or those medium fast or medium slow packets and republish them to their own topic on an MQTT server and then refeed them out if you want to. Or you can keep that local and have that bridge just locally in your area.
So by bridge, you mean like have
It's a
two nodes, one node on long fast, one on medium, and they're talking to each other and retransmitting?
Yes.
Okay. I was actually looking into that because I have two nodes at my house, and long fast works great, and I can't hit anything on medium. So
now does that remove the encryption when you're going over MQTT?
No, MQTT is encrypted. They're so far us investigating it because we're looking at advanced filtering, because we mainly just want to have our setup so that we have the map and telemetry coming in. And then we want to allow a couple of channels with, hey, here's like with the coalition, here's a like region wide or statewide chat that you can just add into your node anywhere, and you'll be able to talk to anyone in the area or anyone in the state. So with the filtering, you could do that.
So let's take a step back. What is MQTT?
So MQTT is just a message brokering service. From what I understand, because I'm still fairly new to this myself, from understanding what it is it was originally a low bandwidth messaging broker. So,
but that requires the internet, correct? Am I wrong on that?
It does, but only on one device. So,
right.
Say you have a big mesh in a city. You have one node that, say, has a satellite backup. So say, like, hypothetical here, you have a disaster come through an area, you have your mesh network. People want to be able to talk into that area. You set up one node that has good coverage, that has access to an MQTT server, be it hosted in the cloud or hosted on someone's local network somewhere. If somebody wants to talk in, that one node can forward the traffic from the MQTT over the local mesh.
Right. Actually, we should probably take another step back and explain what the hell is Meshtastic.
Maybe.
So Meshtastic is a somewhat open source. It is a Git project where people can send in commits and they can help develop the system. Meshtastic is off-grid, resilient, no other means necessary aside from the hardware and flashing the firmware to the device type of communication that can either operate encrypted or it can be unencrypted. It's available in multiple bands. Primarily what makes it awesome to use is it's not restricted to people with amateur radio licenses.
Mhm.
There are slices of the spectrum that are cut out for communications like this to go over amateur radio frequencies. But again, following the FCC guidelines, they can't be encrypted. There's some gray area in it. It's just nothing that I really want to kind of dip my toe into the water with, if you will. But for those that are not amateur licensed, it does fall under the 900 megahertz ISM band, which is industrial, scientific, and mechanical, I believe. Medical. That's it. Thanks, Ken. Yeah, so the ISM band is license free. You don't have to have any type of licensing. It's licensed by rule.
And Meshtastic, I believe, is centered around 915 megahertz,
Yes.
I think.
That's like
Yep.
868 to 915, right? Or
Yeah.
is it, yeah.
And then when it comes to the hardware that it's using, it's called LoRa. What was that? Low or long range, low power. Forget the actual acronym.
LoRa is long range, low power, long distance.
Close enough. And there's a lot of different types of hardware out there for that. You can go $10 out. You can go $200 out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
there's
the
Get into.
T1000E. That one's great. Fits in your wallet.
Yeah. There's trackers that are pre-built with ABS cases. There are do-it-yourself nodes where you can buy just the actual board with either with or without an OLED display. You can buy BlackBerry type devices that are all-in-one units that have full keyboards. And yep, there you go. You get your T-Deck. There's so yeah. I forgot to grab mine out of my car. I'm a terrible person to be bringing onto your show.
You're not ready for still.
Yeah. But there's so many different options. The sky is really the limit. There's Heltec, there's Seed, there's so many different manufacturers out there that are producing LoRa devices that work not only in the 915 meg spectrum. You've got 868 for Europe. There's 433 and 470 in parts of Asia. There's so much usage for this, not only just in the United States.
Yeah, and then from my understanding, because I'm kind of with Ken on this, this has been the latest hotness, so I'm still trying to catch up. But it sounds like the channel layouts in different countries are different too.
It really depends on the region that you're in, and the groups that kind of control that region. It's not you can really do anything with it, and that's what's so great about it. With the long fast channel, which is your primary kind of hailing channel, it's pre-programmed into everybody's device. So if you go into an area that you've never been to before and you don't know that channel layout, you can just blast a message on long fast and say, "Hey, I'm new here, help." And people will jump right in and go, "Hey, join this Discord or go into this Signal chat," or what have you, to get that information to get you the right channel plan.
Interesting. Okay. I would show you mine. I've got a Heltec Station G2 sitting over here. Let's see if we can zoom in on it. But I've got an SDR watching the channels. I can't move the camera, but if you zoom in, you can see the signals on each channel. So you know how there's like slot 20, slot 45, everything in between.
No, not me.
Between medium and long fast.
God damn it. I was trying to zoom in on Steve, but it zoomed in on me.
Will that zoom in?
Can
you actually see that?
Click that button for the first layout option there. It should zoom in on your shit.
Nope,
That's me again.
Doing it live. It's defaulting to you. What the hell?
I'm just special.
It's that worm he's planted in your computer, just making sure he's
Clearly.
the center of attention.
Clearly.
Damn
God's doing it
Steve.
again.
Son of a bitch.
The camera loves me. Ah, no.
And now we got nothing.
Everything is fine. Everything is fine.
Nothing to see here.
Oh,
Oh,
Kind of. So, oh, that almost worked.
maybe. There it is.
Yeah, you can kind of see it. Because how the Meshtastic protocol works is you got a series of ups and downs. They call them chirps, and there's different channel slots. And right now I'm focused on the 915 megahertz range, but I can see 15 megahertz on each side of that frequency, and I can see each channel slot and all the chirps being transmitted throughout. So it's kind of cool to visualize.
so the 900 megahertz is really cool band to play with. The problem that a lot of people are going to run into, which there's stuff in development to fix it, and well, to mitigate it, I should say. We're tertiary users to it. There is a lot on 900. People's smart meters, power meters for their houses, those all talk over 900 megahertz. A lot of them do. There's cellular nearby, so you run into interference issues in larger areas, but for the most part, Meshtastic is actually very resilient against those.
I haven't actually seen any interference in mine because I threw up. I'd call it a fuck around and find out experiment where I put a bunch of antennas on the same mast, right? And the only interference I got was from my USRP antenna, which is a dipole, or not a dipole, but a disc cone on the very top. But the 2 meter and the Meshtastic, perfect. Works awesome. No interference at all. But I did just buy a SWR meter to double check, run some tests before I up it another 20, 30 feet.
There's this one YouTuber I watch who's taken apart a bunch of the smart power meters and reverse engineered the mechanism that they use to join the network. And he was showing how he can essentially, with a HackRF, join as a new meter to the network and get all this data he's not supposed to be able to see about the readings from the houses near him. That's pretty cool stuff.
It's almost terrifying that you can reverse engineer this stuff and figure out all the data that's actually being transmitted across 900 meg. There's just so much unencrypted and identifiable information that's just floating out in the outer space, if you will.
Well, it falls into security through obscurity.
Yes.
I guess, yeah.
My senior project was capstone project was decoding flex and poxeg data from local hospitals and storing it in a database that was searchable. And we found all sorts of stuff like social security numbers, and we ran it across a DLP, and we were able to see all the stuff that was definitely privileged health information just being broadcast over the pager networks. It's great.
So speaking of, obstruction or, obscurity by whatever Ken said, that's
Security through obscurity.
Yes, that's it. So one of the great things about Meshtastic is that the long fast and long slow channels support AES 256 encryption.
Mm-hmm.
So if you really got to get a message out that's super extra secret squirrel, you do have some pretty good encryption layers available.
Nice.
Until the NSA pops up a node.
Exactly. Which Lord knows they're already listening to us through our, Alexa devices, if you're dumb enough to have one of those.
Oh yeah, you always got to send your local Fed a selfie.
That's right.
Like a dick pic or something.
Do they have?
Hey, speaking of capstone projects, this was mine. Have you seen this? It just came in the mail today. It's the multipass.
Yes.
Multi-pass.
Multi-pass.
So what it is a barcode cloner and spoofer. And my college capstone project was building one of these. And these guys just made it slick credit card size that fits in a Flipper Zero. And I'm sitting here like, damn, that's awesome.
That is pretty sweet.
Dude, in Vegas, one of the garages at the hotels I used to park my car at frequently, you could literally do an increment attack with the QR code, with the barcode. So I would just generate a new barcode, and instead of scanning my ticket, I would scan my phone, and it would be essentially it would be like, instead of paying for 5 hours, you're paying for like an hour, because you're just getting somebody else's ticket. They're screwed later, but it ain't, you don't have to deal with it.
Technically, there's apps in the Flipper you could use for that too.
So
it's easy enough to do on the phone.
that brings up one of the projects I'm working on currently, pending free time, is taking and building a Meshtastic hat for the Flipper.
That'd be pretty cool.
There's
I mean, you got all the pins.
Yeah, there's someone that's already made one, and as far
Make
as
it
I'm
remote
aware,
controllable from a distance.
as far as I'm aware, it's just not commercially viable because of the part selection they use. So I've been working on redesigning one that's compact, ergonomic, and functional, or more functional, I should say.
Make it so you can launch attacks from the Flipper, but from another Meshtastic device far, far away.
Hey, some of these TDECs, I've seen guys on YouTube that there's some firmware out there that act like a Flipper or like a pineapple and do different attacks on whatever it can reach, which is pretty neat. It doesn't work very well from what I can see, but it's a cool idea.
In theory, that does sound like it would make sense, but in practicality, clearly it's not. It's really not to that point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then,
the
have you guys...
ESP modules are not great at Wi-Fi attacks, so you need it's a little bit more
need
hardware.
At least 2 or 3 ESPs to actually do a Wi-Fi attack. But have you guys had any issues with Bluetooth on any of your Meshtastic devices?
Personally speaking, no, because I go through every new node and change the Bluetooth pairing pin to my own pins that's different for each one. There has been issues where people, and you'll see it on Reddit at least, where people will be like, hey, my node has changed all of this, and it's because, you find out they're using the default pin of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And speaking of being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so just for like a size offering, this is a Meshtastic node. This is a rack node. As you can see, it is super, super tiny. These are some of my personal favorites now. I was a big Heltec guy when I first started. Thanks to Ken, he finally talked some sense into me that these rack modules are so much more power. They're not as power hungry. They have built-in solar control.
They're using the Rock chip chipset.
I'm sorry?
Which chipset are they using? The Rock chip one, or
NRF?
Yeah, it's the NRFs.
And for those listening, it's RAK.
Yes. Romeo Alpha Kilo.
Let's see if I can grab it from behind me because it's sticking in the rack.
The rack modules also come with a proprietary pin. You can add sensors to these. Ken's got his sensor node that does temperature and humidity stuff. And that all of that information is just data bursts back to the map. So we could pull up the map and pick up his node, and it will give all that information from those sensors straight from it. That's one of the great tools that you can add to your toolbox for case uses for Meshtastic devices. You can pull temperature, humidity,
barometric pressure, air quality index.
Yeah, Ken, talk about how you set all that up, because I've been thinking about doing it myself, like an altimeter and everything.
So this is not set up as an altimeter. This is still a very much work in progress. This is a using a rack module, the full size one. It's got one of the Bosch environmental sensors that's sold as one of the WizBlock modules. It literally just plugs in through a fine pitch board-to-board connector, one screw. You tell it to enable it. This is set up right now to do monitoring of my rack. So if the temperature gets too hot in here, I can remote in and start, shutting down servers or whatnot. Home-built battery pack with repurposed 18650s and a BMS. This will last, this one module, without any kind of external charging or anything, with, I want to say this is 8 amp hours, will go almost 30 days.
Cool.
Wow.
I mean, I would never think to use it to monitor my rack. I have other sensors for my rack room. But awesome. I'm going to look into that. And to answer Lauren's question, yes, the Pi 5 works great. That's actually what I'm using right now for my big boy antenna that's up on the mast outstairs, or up on the mast outside.
Are you talking about your massive erection outside?
Yeah, it was a very happy erection day. It worked well.
At least someone has a large one.
Lord knows it's not either of us.
The only problem with the Pi 5, though, is its ARM, so certain things don't work. For instance, I found that you can't run Chrome, and that's one of the only browsers that can do the Bluetooth and serial connections when you use the Wi-Fi configs for configuring your Meshtastic device or whatever.
So to kind of touch on configuring a device too, some of the other neat features, you can use a Raspberry Pi as a gateway, if you will. You can SSH into a Raspberry Pi that's tied into your network. The rack modules have PoE modules that you can add to them. So if you repurpose, for example, sorry for going off the screen here.
Where'd he go?
A lot of people are repurposing these old HNT modules. These are HNT token miners from a company called Nebra. These are like super plentiful on secondhand markets. They're, aluminum cases. They come with great antennas. They've got all the ports. You can add type N connectors. You can add all that. But people are using these enclosures to put, say, a Raspberry Pi and a Meshtastic node, powering it through PoE, and you can just stick this onto a tower or some sort of elevated structure, and you've got full SSH capability. You can go in and adjust the settings and everything. You can update your firmware all through that Raspberry Pi that's in that enclosure.
And I assume you could probably find a way to put LTE on there as well, right?
I'm sure that there are
LTE hats for Pis.
Yeah,
And
that would be
also
freaking
just
sweet.
thumb drive sized dongles that provide it too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Solar powered LTE SSH. That would be the setup.
That would be pretty cool. I always wanted to build one of these and like have a drone drop it on top of a mountain.
It's funny you bring up drone. A while back, I've got a drone, and I took one of the T114 modules. I just happen to have one handy here. These are powerful little boogers for their size. Let me grab a thumb drive. I don't have a thumb drive handy, but this is like the wireless receiver for my headset. It's larger than that. They're about the same size. I strapped one of these with an antenna to the bottom of my drone and flew it up to the ceiling at 300 feet. And I was actually able to pick up a lot of nodes, surprisingly, for as low power as most of these are.
We did some cool shit with those Hack 5 pineapples back when they were popular, but now there's better ways of doing it. But we would strap those to drones and just fly around and war fly.
So one of the one of the cool things to kind of touch on with that drone usage, I'm not gonna, kind of steer anybody to any particular designers. There are a bunch of there's so many 3D printable enclosures for these devices readily available on like printables and Thingiverse, and it's like a tinkerer's nightmare, or not nightmare, but a tinkerer's dream. But nightmares are dreams too. Anyway, emergency communications, right? So grid down, right? You have no way of getting information out. You're stuck, something like that. If you have a drone, you can use that drone all the way to the ceiling, as Ken was just saying, throw that thing up at 300 feet. When you send that initial hop from your device and you send it through that drone, you're now effectively putting that antenna at 300 feet. And with anything in the VHF and UHF realm, height is might. Everything is line of sight. So having something that you can get up to 300 feet up into the air, you're going to effectively increase that coverage by so much. You're going to be able to get that message out and potentially get the help that you need.
Then you're dependent on battery life. But I've also seen the drones being deployed in Afghanistan from some friends where they were trying to get internet out there. They would drop little mesh nodes to where they could get internet back out to a main line.
So I'm not too sure about using a mesh to transmit for internet purposes or communication of that nature.
I'm just using it as an example.
Right. But what I can say, like you were talking about, battery life, there are tethered drones. I can, say I don't want to tell you how expensive they are, but the agency that I work for, we do own a tethered drone. It's, how far up does ours go? I think 150.
Yeah, 150.
Yeah, so it's got 150 feet of cable, and it can be powered from the box at the base. So you're sending that power straight up to that device.
I have never heard of that.
Yep, tethered drones. Yeah. And the great part about tethered drones is because it's tethered, you don't have to have your FAA license to fly it.
I think it's what is it, short slow? You can do TCP over it, but it's still slow as heck.
There's still projects they're working on that.
It's what, 9.6 kilobytes per second or kilobits? It's one of those.
Yeah,
something extra slow.
I was trying to get it to do SSH.
Radio.
Right.
It's not great. I've seen people set up BBSs on these though. That's pretty cool.
If you want to try to use the internet over Meshtastic, it's kind of like, load your porn, go to church, come back. Maybe your image is loaded by the time you get home.
ASCII porn.
No, it's the first three like solid black lines at the top, and that's all that loaded, and then it disconnected because someone started typing a whole bunch of messages on the channel.
Yeah.
Your mom accidentally picked up the phone and hello, crap, that screwed everything up. So having to touch on your comment about having a BBS. So there are two different types. There's Meshtastic and then there's Mesh Core, right? Meshtastic is more on the ad hoc style where it's, kind of run what you brung kind of equipment. It tethers off of each other to increase its effective coverage area, where Mesh Core is more focused on it's very infrastructure heavy. So it needs a lot of permanent infrastructure in very specific and areas that make sense, if you will. It's almost like an LMR radio system, a public safety radio system. You want to do signal surveys. You want to make sure that where you're putting that radio tower is going to be effective to make that coverage work well. Where with Meshtastic, it really doesn't matter if the nodes are moving, they're still sending out those hops, whether it's a device that's sitting still or if it's a device on the roof of your car.
Interesting.
So that brings up another question. In most of these mesh devices, do they have built-in GPS, or how does it know where your GPS position is?
So most of them have the ability to use off-the-shelf GPS modules that just talk back to your serial port on your microcontrollers, your standard UART.
So you would have to add it like a hat or something.
Like a hat. Let me grab this T114 again that I have handy. So the T114 kit that you get, it comes with your module, which standard module, OLED screen, USB-C. But if you look on the back, you've got 3 connectors. You got your battery, your solar, and then you got this big one on the end here. Well, the kits most of the time come with one of these, which is a GPS antenna, the GPS module on the back that literally comes with the cable. It's micro JST that just plugs into here. You tell it, hey, you have GPS. It goes out and it searches the UART pins. Goes, hey, this module, this is its identifier. All right, I know what I'm doing now. And you have GPS. You can
Shit. You should drop a link to that GPS dongle. I need a couple of those.
It's not a GPS dongle.
Yeah,
Or whatever
it's
you wanna call
soldered
that
onto
thing.
the UART. It's on the UART. He said the solder.
That's
that
what
on
I
there.
mean. I know. I've got things with those connectors that I could use that with.
If you go with the T1000E tracker, that's like card shaped. It's got a GPS module built into it.
And all this is an L76K GPS module, an antenna.
That's what I need to know. L76K.
Any
then the
off-the-shelf one that's compatible will work. It doesn't have to be that one.
Yeah,
Right.
there's a whole bunch that it supports.
So that L76 actually is kind of the most common sized one. So when you're looking at these pre-designed, pre-engineered 3D printed cases, most of them are going to be set up to fit that particular size. And to piggyback also on what Ken was talking about with the GPS, you can also pull the GPS from your phone if you have the settings correct in the Meshtastic app.
Right.
That's traditionally how it's done.
Right.
If you don't have that antenna.
Right.
Looks like there's
So
a bunch
what's
of
the
different ways to do it.
what's the purpose of the alliance that you guys have formed? Like, what's the mission statement? What are you guys aiming to do?
So what we are looking to do is to create a statewide mesh coalition, if you will, right? I mean, it kind of fits into the name Georgia Statewide Mesh Coalition. What we're trying to do is to have a way to communicate when all other methods of communication fail, right? It falls back into that preparation mindset of, if I need help, I need to be able to get that message out. If the grid is down, if I have no power, if I have no internet, if my cell phone isn't working, things like that. If I need to get a message out, it's just another tool in your toolbox to be able to communicate across the state and even across the state line into other states.
I think it would be awesome if we could get from Tybee Island to North Carolina. That'd just be dope.
So there's actually some folks on Hilton Head that would really like to have a link between Tybee and Hilton Head, and we've been talking back and forth on some different ideas on how to make it work, including like it sounds like it works in my head. It probably won't work, but using some Yagi antennas and 2 nodes, basically one node with an omnidirectional and one node with a beam, and that beam is shooting straight to Hilton Head. The other beam is shooting to Tybee. You've got that clear over the water. You should be able to make that almost line of sight shot, but also at the same time, that Omni will add the local area around it. And once you add a few more nodes in that area, you'll add those hops.
Yeah.
In theory, it seems like it will work. I'm probably completely wrong because I don't do engineering stuff. That's why I've got Ken. But hey, I come up with ideas. I go, hey, Ken, will this work? And he 9 times out of 10, he goes, no, you're stupid. It needs to be this way.
Hey, we're all in this together, fucking around and finding out.
That's right.
There's times that I wonder why I'm surprised that I haven't found Matt with a knife and a fork in front of a socket with his hair all charred going, huh, that didn't work.
Well, that's the story of my life.
I've seen similar setups like that, like posted on Reddit with the 2 Yagis. So I think it is definitely something that hopefully would work, unless people are just spreading misinformation.
It kind of brings back like the old school AT&T long lines network, right? So I'm a huge like OG technology nerd. Like my Tylenol American brain, it just absolutely loves deep diving into subjects that I really don't need to understand because it's like super old tech and we don't use it anymore. But if you sit down and you like think about and you look back at AT&T's long line system, right? Their coast to coast microwave system that they used to try to help with the long distance calls to get you off of copper. You could use those theories to build some sort of a long distance LoRa network using Meshtastic. Like you were saying, using directional antennas to be able to create a relay point. We haven't really gotten to that point just yet, but the theory is there. We have some plans in our heads. We're just, we're still tinkering. We're still building our local niches
What
to
do you
get
think
them
of like
together.
phased array? That's an option. Phased array
Yeah,
antennas
'cause,
is an
like-
option. They're a bit more expensive, but they're they can kind of adjust a little bit, from my
Well,
understanding.
And with phased array, you have to have a decent amount of processing power to actually control the phasing, because a phased array antenna is you have one phase going up and down, 1,000 feet, 5,000 feet level here. You have another that, say, if they're in phase, they're going up at the same time, down at the same time. They add together, you get one big. Phased array can actually take and use the constructive interference and the destructive interference and actually form you a beam. The thing is with Meshtastic in such a infancy right now, there's a lack of knowledge, lack of programming power, and a lack of processing power on the majority of the nodes you run, because you're running with basic microcontrollers, ESP32s, NRFs, and there's one other that's really common that I can't remember. But the principle of taking, say you have a box with 2 nodes here and a box with 2 nodes here. You take 2 of your nodes, you point them together with a tight beam Yagi, maybe get, I don't know, 45 degree, 35 degree Yagi. Point them at each other, get a connection. You also have locally in that same box, you have another node that's doesn't even have to be connected anyway, that's on an omnidirectional antenna that's going to take, because of near field antenna, I don't know what you call it, near
Radio
field
physics, yada,
Yeah.
yada, yada.
near field physics. Those two, even though they're not, your Yagi's pointed this way, you're still going to get RF radiation off the back.
Yep.
And they'll still be able to communicate, but it's going to pick up off that Yagi, and then it's going to hop to the other node, and then it'll disseminate out into your wide area network.
It's like,
Nice.
in theory, if you have a bunch of like repeaters all across the state, but line of sight as a backbone communicating, and then have nodes connected to them, and have everybody connect to your nodes, and then use these others as a backbone, like repeaters or whatever. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud.
Honestly, that's kind of the thought behind it, is, having a way to not use MQTT, right? So like I love
Correct.
the availability of the MQTT to where we can use that to help bridge the gap, right? Where you have areas where you don't have that, you won't have that coverage, because obviously these devices are power limited. Okay, everything that's in the 900 megahertz spectrum under ISM, there are power restrictions. You can only go up to a certain wattage. You can only have a certain EIRP, right? Being able to have something to say between the coastal area and the Alabama line. I know that's a huge distance, but it just kind of makes it relative to be able to get the messages from one side of the state to the other. If you don't have that infrastructure in between, you can use MQTT, right? You can use that message brokering to be able to get the message from point A to point B. Using directional antennas like that and setting up those nodes from A to B, that's going to help eliminate the need for the MQTT. So like you're saying, you're going to have 2 nodes, you're going to have 2 hops, but you can run up to 7 hops on your messages. Yeah, it's not going to get out as far, but it's still going to get the job done, and you're still going to get that message from A to B.
So is there a way to get like the same mapping diagrams that we have, like those dashboards, without using MQTT?
So the local node on the app on your phone can actually pick up pretty decently nodes that you've heard and map them. But as far as I'm aware, all of your normal utilities that do that are listening over MQTT.
Right. I'm just wondering what would happen if everybody turned off MQTT. How would the map work at that point?
It wouldn't.
Yeah.
It's the simple answer. It just wouldn't. There's no one that's taken the time, or there hasn't really been a need per se to take the time and configure a node that can pull the raw packet data out and then feed it directly to a map, because the MQTT message brokering services was the easiest way for them to accomplish their goals at the time.
And to be fair, this is a solution to a problem nobody knew we had.
It's usually how it goes.
So that would be pretty cool. Same with like running TCP/IP over it. That'd be sweet, but not realistic.
Might be able to play a, Doom match over it.
Ken, if we could do that, I would love it. 100% would love it.
When you show off your Liligo and somebody says, "Can it play Doom?" You're like, "Hell yeah, it can."
But the real question is, can it play Crisis?
I got asteroids.
Hey,
it brings me back to one of the fun things that I've done with an ESP32. Just as a joke, there's someone that created a GitHub repository that's the Rickroll honeypot. So you take an ESP32 that has the ability to do Wi-Fi. You set it up into broadcast mode. It broadcasts a Wi-Fi network. You name it like free Wi-Fi or guest Wi-Fi. You have it open. That's got a captive portal on it. That ESP.
That's totally not what my parabolic dish on the top of my mast is doing for the public pool.
And you sit there, you click, oh, it's public Wi-Fi, I gotta log in. You click that login button, it serves a local copy off the ESP32 of the Never Gonna Give You Up. It's wonderful.
Dude, my favorite thing though is every 30 seconds, either Rickroll or kittenwars.com, and then redirect every Google search through Bing.
oh man, that's brutal. That is brutal.
Oh, I was going to follow up with something, then I forgot. Son of a bitch. Anyways. Oh, yeah. Are you guys going to be at KSU this weekend, or are you guys the ones not going to make it? Or I'm still not sure who's going to be there with me.
It's like a 50-50 at this chance, or at this point. Free time is a luxury that not a lot of us have in this area right now.
Yeah.
No, I hear that.
Trying to.
I just don't want to be the only one there.
I have faith in you.
It would be a good time for me to get out there and finally give away some of my flotilla. I've been going through my entire stack of 3D printer filament trying to get it ready to print nodes, and I'm at a box of benchies.
Nice.
Oh, hey, thanks for talking to me.
Thanks for stopping by. Here, have a
boat.
I was doing that with dick butts for the longest time.
Oh, that brings up a wonderful story.
And then I got in trouble because one of the concerts I was handing them out at was an all ages show, and somebody got pissed off because I didn't realize it was all ages.
The BI.
So,
BI.
So, a friend of mine a while back, there was an event going on. I will not name the event because I don't want to incriminate myself. He 3D printed with a resin printer a whole bunch of dick butts that were about the size of a pea. And we hid them all through vendor booths, in vendor bins. We hid them everywhere. I kept seeing them for like 3 years afterwards. I kept finding them.
Dude, one of my dick butts lives on forever because one of the bands that played on our stage, I gave him the big one, like 1.5 feet tall.
Nice.
Like girthy. And they put it in one of their music videos on the dashboard of their van. And now they're huge. And they left it there as an Easter egg.
See,
That
it's
is awesome.
funny you bring that up because there's one of those sitting off camera a little ways.
And then with my resin printer, I also made these little tire caps that look like dicks. So you can just replace some of these tire caps with little glow-in-the-dark dicks.
I wonder how long it would take for Matt to realize.
You're in trouble. We're just going to leave it at that. You're in trouble.
3D printers unite.
Right?
The real move would be take and design it with a little pin inside that where when you screwed it down, it let all the air out of the tire.
That is absolutely brutal.
Gotta relieve some pressure.
So let me see. Can I share my screen? Am I allowed to share my screen?
You have to hit the. I don't even know
There
if you
we
have
go.
the ability to add to stage. Yeah,
There we go. Cool. So one of the great things to kind of, not to kill our fun, but one of the awesome features to Meshtastic is that it makes it super, super user friendly, right? So for people that aren't, red team, blue team, they're not into that pen testing and they're not in this spectrum, because clearly I am not. It gives you that availability to be able to program the device, pretty simply. There's wrong button. You can go through and it will just tell you. You look at it and go, hey, this is exactly what I need. I can click on this. And then you do the drop down and you pick your beta or your alpha version. And once you hit flash, it gives you all the change order, all of the changes that they've made, the contributors. Once you connect it to the with your USB-C cable, you just hit update. It rocks, it rolls. If you want to wipe it, you can do a full wipe, reinstall straight out of it. It makes it super, super simple for people that are not very techy. And that's, I think, is one of the greatest features of Meshtastic. You don't have to have a bachelor's degree in computer programming to be able to do this. Anybody
or radio
with a computer.
physics.
Exactly. You don't have to be an RF, a professor of RF theory to be able to use these tools. You could teach your uncle how to do it.
You see that little rocket next to there? That's
the auto detect. Yep. You could literally just click on it, hit connect, and it will auto detect which device it is. Obviously, I don't have any devices close to me to be able to pick up, but you can program it like that. It's super easy. Specifically in our Discord, we have channels for tech support. If you're having a problem and you don't know what you're doing, you can go in there and go, hey, I can't figure this out. There's channels for hardware. There's channels for firmware. There's technical support for server related things. There's just the availability for help is just, like exponential.
And then to add on to, after you flash your device, let's say you get a brand new device, you go through this flashing technique and you find a mesh that you want to connect to. You can share configs via QR code.
Yep.
And those typically work, assuming
For the most
somebody's
part.
maintaining it. It
For the
comes
most
down
part.
to they got to be maintaining it. Because
Right.
I've come into situations where I load up that config and it doesn't match what they actually have on the website. I'm like, son of a bitch.
So you have to maintain the QR code, and there's been a couple times in firmware revisions where the QR codes have broken between, say, I think it was 2.5 to 2.6. If you use a 2.5 QR code and try and load it in 2.6 firmware, it won't work.
Yeah.
That's another thing you have to, because they're pretty good about the beta releases being they're regular, but they're not often. The alpha releases are almost nightly releases at this point, because there's a lot of people that are helping out and that are contributing and, you know, making the software and the everything better behind it.
Yeah. I'm not necessarily talking about the firmware itself. I'm talking about the configurations that you can scan with that QR code to automatically configure it. Sometimes it's all janky and not what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it really it goes back to what you're saying, that it takes maintenance. Someone has to keep up and keep updating them.
It's like we could, I don't know, Mountain Mesh probably wouldn't be a good example. That's actually probably, I need a higher antenna because they just moved to medium slow or medium
Right.
fast.
Right. And that's the thing, is each region, depending on their infrastructure, really depends on what works best. So what works best for Mountain Mesh is medium fast for our areas, you know, that aren't as saturated and where we don't have, you know, the big mountains, and we don't have the hills and the tall buildings to be able to put nodes on. Long fast seems to work best for us.
Yeah, it was working great until they switched. I was maxing out my nodes. I couldn't even, the RAM wouldn't take any more nodes.
Yeah. And there's so many other cool features that you can pull up. We have a mesh map where you can actually scroll in and you can look and see all the you can see devices that are pulled in throughout the area. And you can click on each of these devices and you can pull up the information off of it.
Pull up my weather node. It should be showing on the map at this point. It should have sent a packet in.
Hey, look, it's Ken's weather node on Mala.
Yep.
You gotta send me the config for Mala. I can't seem to connect to it.
So I haven't published it yet, but we have a fork of it that I've been going through and debugging. I will say the creator of it is open, that said, hey, this was generated by AI. There's a lot of bugs that are still being worked out on it, but right now, I've got it mostly working in Docker. Mostly.
Bless your heart. I hate Docker, but okay.
There we go. Ken's weather node, full details. So you can, when you pull it up here on the map, you can see what type of node it is. It gives you all the information, gives you the battery percentage, and it is pretty accurate. Here's his environmental metrics, power metrics. It shows all these different things straight from that device.
But if you look down there at the environmental metrics, temperature, humidity, and pressure, it has not sent in a packet recently.
That's pretty flatline, bud.
Yeah.
You just kind of gave me an idea. If nobody's done it yet, has anybody tied in ADSB signals into this?
So there is a project that someone's working on that I've gotten whispers of, where someone's decoding the ADSB packets, formatting them to plain text, and then sending them out over the mesh.
That would be pretty neat.
There's also a super, super cool one that Ken and I have started to toy with, and we haven't got our schedules to sync to be able to get it. It's called Mesh Detect. It takes a Heltec V3 board and then another ESP32, and it pulls the BLE signal from any drone that's flying within range of that device, and it can send a message across to your Meshtastic circle, and it'll give you all the metrics that it can pull from the BLE off of that drone. So registration information, its positioning, things like that. You can figure out whose drone it is based off of its serial number, whatever other information comes off of the BLE. And that's like a totally cool. It's a totally cool feature. So if you've got that super creepy neighbor that's been flying over your house, you can be like, "Listen here, buddy. You do that one more time, I got a 410 that says that your drone's not coming home."
Not that we'd ever do that, because that's completely
right.
against FAA regulations.
100%. That's
Or ethical.
in my Minecraft server. That's what it was. That it was in my Minecraft server.
Supreme Court's already said that's not a valid defense. It's in your GTA RP server now.
Perfect.
We do have to explain it because we skipped over the disclaimer that we usually do in the beginning. But yes, we're all ethical here, right? I don't see anything going wrong with this.
That's right.
But it looks like Frank dipped out. You guys got anything else you want to talk about?
Not really. It's just that it's a growing hobby, and that it's continually growing and evolving.
I think really that is the greatest feature to Meshtastic, is that it's ever evolving, it's ever growing, it's constantly improving. It's not any type of stale hardware or stale firmware. It's not a project that someone just, pipe dreamed and then, backburnered it. It's constantly improving. It will continue to improve. It will continue to get better, and it will continue to give people the communications that they need to be able to use in the, those situations where the fecal matter comes in contact with the rotating oscillating device.
Yeah, when shit hits the fan, it does not get distributed equally.
Exactly. It typically doesn't. And working in the emergency field, it definitely kind of is one of those really cool things to have in your pocket. Working public safety communications, working Meshtastic, these types of things kind of do work hand in hand. It gives you that extra bit of an extra communication tool to use when everything else has gone south.
And even outside of the seriousness of it, it's just kind of a cool hobby.
It really
like ham radio.
Yeah, it really is. It's a neat thing to add to be able to use. Like, for example, I'm going to be attending the Warped Tour this weekend in Florida. I'm going with a group of friends. The group of friends, we all have Meshtastic nodes. How do you think we're going to be talking to each other? We're going to be talking shit to each other on Meshtastic. Mostly drunk texting, but we're still going to be talking shit to each other the entire time.
Did I hear you right? Warped Tour? Like,
the Warped Tour. The OG Warped. Now, mind you, it's not the same as it was back in the day.
Dude, I'm big into hardcore, so all I can imagine you guys talking about is like, dude, I just broke my leg. Come pick me up. Or
it might be. I mean, I am bringing a really good friend who's in medevac aviation in the military. So hopefully I don't fuck my old self up and have to get him to actually do his job to save my ass.
Me being 36 in a mosh or a dance pit, I'm like, one song in, I'm done.
Yes. The more White Claws I drink, the rowdier I'm going to get.
I used to think that until the White Claws started causing so much heartburn, I'd be throwing up in the trash.
It is a downside to getting to the age in which we are.
Hey, I'm still good.
I got famous with a band called Gideon because I was in a pit and I was crowd surfing wearing a cowboy hat with a bunch of signatures on it. And I've worn that hat to so many shows that there's almost no more space for signatures. But they signed it twice, and I did a front flip onto the stage, and their photographer me perfectly, somersaulting right next to the singer's feet. And it showed the hat with all of their signatures on it. And they use that on their Instagram for marketing. So I was famous for like 15 minutes. But that night is the night that I found out that my thumb could touch the back of my wrist.
That's terrifying. I don't think it's supposed to work like that.
That was fun. Somebody in the crowd happened to be a nurse and saw what happened, and she followed me outside as I popped it back into place and screamed at the moon. And then she was friends with the bartender when we got me a bag of ice.
That's right.
Oh, fun times.
Who are you looking forward to the most at Warped Tour?
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of haven't really looked at the performers. I think Young Gravy's gonna be there, and I'm not gonna lie, I am totally down to go get loaded and watch Young Gravy seduce all the MILFs.
There you
go.
You're gonna put some Meshtastic in their near their drinks.
You never know. You never know. Hey, they might be some nerds too.
Hey, sometimes you'd be surprised.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's a very famous YouTuber who is a part of a survival brand of stuff that is a very good friend of Ken's and mine. He's a part of our amateur radio club, and he's huge into like all of this stuff. Like if you got one look at him up close and personal, he's, big swole guy, big old bushy beard. You'd get one look at him and go, there is no freaking way that he's into 3D printing and video games and Meshtastic and amateur radio. You're thinking he's just out in the woods with a buck knife, stabbing freaking animals, cutting out their organs and just harvesting and eating them just because it's what he does. Dude, this guy is like the totally coolest guy to hang out with. So much fun to be around. And he just has no problem letting his inner nerd hang out.
Technically, I don't see the juxtaposition. That's all the same to me.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. Yeah.
So,
it does check.
There's a funny story about him. So earlier this year, we went to an event, and we just happened to be passing through Atlanta. And what does Atlanta have? A micro center. So he was kind of he's been an Apple person for ever, as far as I'm aware. And
I actually live right next to that micro center, and it's awesome.
Oh, really?
That's good to know. We're
Yeah.
just gonna have to do trace routes to your nodes to find you.
Well, I wouldn't say right next, more like 10 miles, but pretty close.
It's close enough.
But so I had my old computer because in February of this year, I rebuilt my computer and basically top of the line, put it in the case. Took my old computer and turned it into I was just going to turn it into a media PC. It's still pretty good PC. I still could play games on it. But it was sitting around, and he was like, I want to try PC gaming. I said, okay. I got this computer here. It's Ryzen RTX 2070 Super. It's not the best, but it'll play a lot of games at medium to high settings. So handed it over to him, got it up and running. About 3 days later, he says, I want to build my own computer. Say, okay, well, we're going up next to Micro Center in the next couple weeks. We'll stop there and we'll get everything for you to buy a computer. So we get up there, and for once, I was spending someone else's money and not my own in Micro Center. He walked out.
You're lucky.
Yeah,
Right.
he walked out with the top of the line Ryzen 9, really good all-in-one water cooler, and a RTX 5080 that was actually at MSRP. And when he has free time, which has been lacking
far between now, yeah.
he was you couldn't pull him off of it.
Dude, the last time I was at Fry's Electronics, back when I think there's only one left in existence, but Fry's Electronics, I was saving up like 3 paychecks, and I bought myself 2 1080 Ti's back when that was hot shit. And there was a guy standing in line with his wife, and they're eyeballing what I have in my car. And he's like nudging his wife, like, come on, let me get one.
So it brings me back to my first computer build. Oh God. What was I think it was like 10 or 11. I'm huge nerd. It was a AMD Athlon X64 dual core. It was one of their first 64-bit chips.
Did it drink all the booze?
It probably did.
Did it hack all the things?
Absolutely.
It would and it was because of one game that I wanted to play, and it was EVE Online.
Oh yes, back in the day.
Shit, back in the day for me was that Chex Mix game that came in the cereal box.
Listen, I don't want to date myself and say that my first computer was definitely not a 286. I'm definitely not going to date myself. I am definitely a little outdated. I just retired my 1080 this year. I finally moved up.
There you go. What are you, 38 now?
41.
Close enough.
It's close enough. It stops counting after 40 anyways. You just like, whatever.
I stopped counting at 35.
No, you get asshole coworkers to count up for you and remind you every year.
Yeah.
I haven't retired to the cutoff jean shorts and the New Balances to cut the grass every weekend. I haven't gotten to that age frame yet. I still have a big loud diesel truck, so
Just
Like a man, like a boss.
that's right.
Fuck
That's right.
yeah.
He's got more than one truck. Don't let him fool you, though.
I
You
have
wanna
entirely
sell one?
too
I'm
many-
looking.
I have entirely too many projects. Way too many.
I'm still working on this Camaro, but I do need another truck. I had to sell mine when COVID hit. Lost 2 jobs. I was making like $250,000 a year.
Damn.
Going from that to nothing, I had to sell some shit.
Well, we can talk offline. I do have an F-150 that needs to be rehomed.
Ugh, Fords. Ugh.
Hey, listen, hold on now. This is the perfect pen testing truck. It looks official. I promise you.
We'll see.
So, my current truck is old enough to drink. It's almost as old as me. It's got 2 years on me. I've got 2 years on it. So, I drive a 2002 Chevrolet first generation Duramax diesel.
Hey, the Duramaxes are sweet.
I can tell you after hitting, I think I'm at 8 or 9 deer with it now, and 1 Jeep Wrangler, it still runs.
I had an old 07 20. What do they call it? Dodge Ram 1500 2007 Hemi. That thing was a beast.
That thing got a Hemi in it.
That thing got a Hemi.
Yeah, I got a Hemi.
So I will give Ford credit. I daily a F-250 that's got the 7.3 gas engine in it, where Ford decided, oh yeah, push rods are maybe okay again. And it's not bad. The thing's got get up and go. It'll here, there, and gone. That's the 3 speeds it's got.
The only thing it won't pass is a gas station.
Yeah.
Or an emissions test.
I think that one might pass an emissions test. It is still new enough.
Yeah.
I used to have a 2500 mega cab. Those things are so freaking awesome because you can literally fit a queen size mattress in the back seat. And I had
Nice.
a DVD player and a sunroof. So I would take girls in high school to the top of the mountain and watch movies and,
Watch movies.
good times.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's funny. Matt is completely accurate about it. It will pass anything but a gas station. Hey, you're on the highway, 13 miles to a gallon. You're in the city.
Oh, on a good day.
Well, it stays. Hey, you're in the city, 13 miles to a gallon. You're on the highway, staying a consistent speed, not stopping or slowing down, 13 miles to a gallon. It just 13 miles to a gallon.
I had a buddy because I used to race dirt track in Colorado. So I had like 3 race cars that me and my dad built from scratch. And one of my buddies bored out the engine of a Bronco to the point where he was getting barely 3.5 miles to the
Definitely seems plausible.
So
like
it's
wheelies and shit. Like, what the hell?
so it's like there's a guy here local. Before he retired, he owned a custom car electronics shop. He did a lot of the upfitting for the local public safety, but he had a, what was it? It was a 67 or 68 Impala that had a blown big block in it.
Mm-hmm.
He could stomp on it, and you can literally sit there and watch the fuel needle move.
You watch the RPMs go up and the fuel gauge go down all at the same time.
Yep.
And then you see the trail of piss on the ground.
That's right.
But he also had a really cool car. He had a GNX Grand National. It was actually a very special car. It was one of 6 that the EPA had bought from Buick at the time. And they had converted it with a 55-gallon fuel cell, and it would run on pretty much any fuel on the market. Ethanol, methanol, gas.
Yeah, that's how we did it on the ranch. Methanol. We would even make our own fucking methanol.
Yeah. But he had built that, and he would race it. And the thing, you would get 1/4 mile pass out of it and have to replace the transmission. So he'd carry a spare transmission. He'd make a pass. They'd swap out the transmission. He'd rebuild that one in the pits and then do it all over again.
Yeah.
That checks out.
Sounds right. I'm trying to find a picture, but my dad's got an old Model A that we just it was rusted. Like, we got videos of the first time we got it running. Like, the floorboards are gone, but we got the damn thing to run. And we're driving it around, and he just completely refurbished it. It looks brand new. It's insanely, it's so cool.
So I come from a mechanic background as well as an IT background. So a fun thing to do is
there it is right there.
Is to take the ignition coil out of a Model T or a Model A and hook it up to a metal bench.
Rude.
We did it in shop class a couple times.
Rude.
We got the teacher good one day. And then suddenly after that day, our coil disappeared.
That checks out. So talking about different projects that I have entirely too many of, as I wait for the approval for the screen share. If it will cooperate. Yeah. Oh,
there you go.
There it goes. So I just recently purchased a FedEx truck. Thank you, Kenneth, by the way. This classic beast. She's a gem. Did not want to leave Charleston, South Carolina. Definitely wanted to stay at its place of internment. But thanks to Ken, we were able to get this thing rocking and rolling, and we got this on the road back down to our area. This is going to be eventually converted into mobile communications, amateur radio, and it's going to have all kinds of Meshtastic gear in it. This is going to be a really fun project. And to what I drive, this is my current mobile comms. I've got a Ford Excursion with the 7.3 because, if you're going to have a diesel, you might as well have one that's loud and angry, and it has a full command console in the back with HF, VHF, UHF, 700, 800 comms.
That's so dope.
This thing is like super dialed in. I got solar, portable solar panels, 200 amp hours of LiFePO 4. Like, this is the mean machine right here. This thing is so much fun to have.
I need a VPN to look at it.
I mean, we could be able to make something happen. I'm just saying.
That's awesome. But that FedEx truck you got, we might need to collab on some physical pen test engagements.
Dude, I'm totally down. Whatever you want to do, we can slip that thing into just about anywhere.
That's the point.
Hey, I have a hard hat. I've got a reflective vest, khakis, a polo shirt with, and a clipboard. We can do some physical testing.
Yeah.
You are missing you're missing one part of the equation, Ken. You got to have one of these. Anybody that sees you holding one of these things automatically assumes this guy means business.
Like, man, I used to do construction, coal mining. I was a journeyman electrician. I've done it all. So it's like I fit right into any situation.
It's all about confidence, man. Pen testing is all about confidence. I belong here.
But hold up. Check this out.
All right, that is dope.
That's what my dad restored.
Is it me or is this a picture for ants?
It definitely is a picture for ants.
I don't know how to zoom in.
But it's totally viewable. I can still see it.
Wait, does that work? Kind of.
Hey, Matt, that looks like your first car. Weren't you around during the invention?
Nope, mine did not have an engine. Mine had holes in the floor and the big rock wheels.
Okay.
Hey, my first truck didn't have an engine either. I had to build it from scratch.
My first car, the engine was held in with a belt from Walmart and 2 ratchet straps.
That's right.
That does not surprise any of us, Ken.
What the fuck is...
It's this new software, man.
God,
it's really
they made an update to where nothing works.
It's definitely breaking your balls tonight.
Yeah. This is the first time seeing it. I don't even know. What the hell? Oh, well. Wait, what? That's going to piss me off.
Well, as much as I'd like to hang out, I did not get a chance to eat dinner before I hopped on here, so...
That makes 2 of us.
Yep, with that, we can call it. We'll call it technical interference, but we're close enough to an hour and a half, so... Oh, actually, we're right on the dot.
Hot damn, I like it. Well, I want to thank you, really do. I'm sure you've got links to Georgia Statewide Mesh, our Discord. That's honestly the best way to stay in touch with us. You can also go to our website, gamesh.net or meshingwithgeorgia.net if you want to learn more about the Georgia Statewide Mesh Coalition.
Also, if you join the Discord, I will give you a virtual high five if you direct ping at my concho.
No, absolutely not. Rude.
And if you end up at KSU for the Georgia State Mesh Coalition workshop, I may or may not have some random bullshit to hand out to you.
It might be some 3D printed dick butts. You never know.
Yeah, it could be. But anyways, thanks guys for joining.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys later. And with that, peace.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.